Hello, welcome to Morning Inspiration. Please subscribe and let's read the Messiah's coming words for today with heartfelt love and thanks. February 15, 2002, Hilton Hotel, South Korea. World Culture and Sports Festival 2002 and General Assembly of the Interreligious International Federation for World Peace. True Mother's Speech. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to welcome you the opening ceremony of the 2002 World Culture and Sports Festival in my homeland, Korea. I have witnessed many miraculous changes taking place in Korea throughout my life. I hope those who are visiting Korea for the first time will be able to experience Korea culture and see with your own eyes how it has developed in leaps and bounds. We began the new millennium with the expectation that if we utilize all our modern technology, surely we could bring about a world peace and prosperity and end the violence and pain of the past. However, in reality, a series of events that occurred last year demonstrated otherwise. Even though we are enjoying incredible comforts and benefits from a remarkable material civilization, we are still unable to resolve the serious conflict that persists due to the moral confusion as different cultures are based on different value systems. Today's world is troubled by moral and ethical relativism. My husband, Reverend Samuel Moon, has dedicated his entire life to teaching the world of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience to God, as well as absolute sexual morality based on the true love that all humanity and all of creation have hoped for. I believe many of you already know Reverend Moon through the project and activities he has been promoting throughout the world. However, today I would like to introduce another side of him that only I know. I have been married to him for 42 years, and I believe that only God knows my husband better than I do. A life dedicated to the realization of world peace. What do the absolute values that Reverend Montici have to do with his life? I see him living for the sake of others from early morning until late at the night every day, working to break down all barriers in every sphere of human activity for the ultimate purpose of breaking down the barriers between God and human beings. When I met my husband for the first time, the world was divided into two camps with opposing military power facing off along the one national border. The Cold War between East and West had led to the tragedy of the Korean War, which divided Korea into North and South. In just a few years, the war destroyed almost everything in this country. My husband built his first church from discarded boxes and mud brick. Even in that situation, he believed beyond the shadow and doubt that God would fulfill the promise of hope he had bestowed upon this land. Raymond never prayed to God to help him, even under the most difficult circumstances. For example, he escaped death several times while enduring several tortures in prison under the rule of the North Korean communists. In addition, he endured imprisonment as a result of the false accusations from leaders of other Christian denominations in South Korea. Rather than defy himself, he would endure persecution in silence while consoling God and promising to himself thousands of times that he would without fail achieve world peace, which is the will of God. No matter what difficult circumstances he encountered when he was on the verge of salvation, or when Christians and the media conspired with the government against him, his love for God and sympathy for humanity only increased. Like God's prophets throughout history, he did not submit in the face of opposition. Instead, he proclaimed the message of truth ever more intensely. Reverend Moon has set us an example of absolute faith in heaven. At the age of 16, he received the revelation from heaven and came to understand that he has been chosen to fulfill the mission of leading humanity into a world of purity, freedom, and happiness. A world that God has longed to see since the beginning. To fulfill his mission, my husband had to expand the scope of his life from the level of individual to the family, tribe, people, nation, and world. On the foundation of absolute faith and accomplish God's will. The path of sacrifice and absolute obedience ever since he received his calling from heaven, Reverend Moon has taken a path of total sacrifice, accompanied by indescribable suffering and pain. Most painful for him is that those he has endeavored to save have ridiculed and falsely accused him. Nevertheless, Reverend Moon has not once compromised or hesitated in the course of accomplishing the mission that heaven bestowed on him. He has taught us the way of absolute faith in God by setting the example himself. Most important of all, what my husband has taught about absolute love is second no one. Many religious leaders and scholars have dedicated themselves to building their religious denomination or spreading their doctrines. Some have worked on a big scale to carry on a humanitarian project. Yet, from the beginning, my husband was different. Even when the education movement was small and beset by financial difficulties, he always thought that we need to devote more than two-thirds of our resources to the service of others before taking care of ourselves. He has devoted hundreds of millions of dollars on supporting interfaith work, seeking to bring all religions closer together because he knows that this is God's desire. He has spent far more on interfaith efforts than ever allowed the unification movement to spend on itself. Students at the Unification Theological Seminary, which he founded in 1975, are required to spend far more time study other religions traditions than their own, and to engage in dialogue with scholars and clergy of other religion denominations. When the United States government industry prosecuted him and was in the process of sending him to prison, my husband founded the Washington Times to help America put an end to Cold War and fulfill its providential role for world peace. As you know, he financially supported many world media organizations, and even now he is increasing their budget rather than investing in the publication of the unification movement. I am certain that his way of living for the sake of others before looking after himself, as well as his indomitable spirit, came from God's unconditional love. I believe that this is the true meaning of love, which is the solution of breaking down the walls existing in today's world. Setting the example of absolute love. Reverend Moon teaches us by setting the example himself. Absolute love between a couple does not allow for infidelity or divorce. This kind of love is the only true way to prevent the sexual transmitted diseases that are so widespread in today's world. And there have been people who misunderstood his unwavering and sacrificial dedication to practicing and teaching his ideals through the way he lived his life. Sometimes because of his absolute standard, he was falsely accused by people who were jealous of him or misunderstood him, or who would have rather taken an easy path. However, as the time passed, more and more people came to understand that there is no negotiation or compromise in matters of right and wrong, or good and evil, and that there is no yielding when it comes to devotion our life and love to God. The time that he might have spent with me, he almost always shared with others. We weren't ever able to enjoy a honeymoon as most people do. Nevertheless, I can say honestly that I have received greater love from my husband than any wife ever known. His love for our family and his devotion to education have yielded remarkable results. He has taught us to become as absolute in our dedication to God and as universal in our love for humanity as he has been in his daily life. Although he never took an ordinary family vacation, our 13 children and more than 20 grandchildren live with gratitude for God's grace and blessing. Reverend Moon, true husband and true parent. When we moved to New York, we lived with hundreds of Unification Church members. My husband was eager to learn how to use the riding land power, and he would mow the lawn with the heart of wanting to present a beautiful lawn to God and to the people. He learned how to lay a carpet, and as he nailed it down, he powdered the same heart into each nail. Our life has not been like the life of others. I see the result of his lifelong sacrifices. There are millions of families that have begun to follow this same tradition, and their children and grandchildren. I know God is truly proud of his dedicated son, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. I cannot suppress my joy over this opportunity to introduce my husband to you this morning. I am happy to publicly express my overwhelming love and gratitude to him for this first time. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the founder of the World Culture Sport Festival, a true son of God, a true husband, a true father, and true teacher, my husband, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. Yeah, so powerful quotes for today from the only begotten daughter, true mother, Rajahan Moon. If you have difficulties today, please watch one more time this video, subscribe, and share it for God's blessing. Bye bye. See you tomorrow with more powerful quotes.